Hello and welcome to my video today here on YouTube, or if you're on my website. If you are watching this on January 1st, Happy New Year. I have here my Hello January PDF. It has all the information for what is happening for the month, and then it has these two card sketches that I put together myself, along with 3 color combos, and then there are 2 memory keeping sketches. These are not, I did not put these together. I just found these online. My hope is to eventually start making my own scrapbooking layout sketches. And then on the very last page, it shows the Blessed to Craft, what we're using for this month, and then a few other items like my favorite picks. This PDF also has this month's host code and the ordering specials. So the great thing about January is celebration starts. So there's going to be a lot of fun free product happening in January. So I want to make one of these sketches. I want to put one of them together for you. So I'm going to be using that stamp set that you see there. I'm sorry about my lighting. It's a little wonky right there. And then I'm going to use this beautiful plaid paper that is in the very front of the new catalog, and I will be doing a catalog tour on Thursday because that is when the catalog goes live. I will be sharing with you some of the items that I've received. We will do a walkthrough of the catalog with my favorite picks and the things that I'm planning on getting or I have gotten, and all of those fun things. So that will be an extra video on Thursday, January 5th. So I'm just going to grab a couple pieces of colored cardstock. I really love the way this sweet sorbet and mint macaroon go together. I've never really put these colors together, but as I pulled them out to begin creating, I really liked the way that they went together. So here at the start of the new year, there's lots of fun things happening. I took a little bit of a break after Craft Miss, and so I've been off about a week. And I'm back in my studio. I've made some changes to my studio here that I'm sure I'll be sharing soon. And then there are some fun projects coming. I'm doing a lot more scrapbooking this year. So if you have always enjoyed my scrapbooking videos, I know many of you reach out and say you love when I do that. You will definitely be seeing more of that. And then you will also be hearing a lot more about my memory keeping membership, which is only $10 a month. I'm going to be featuring some fun things in that group this year. And currently we're working on getting December Daily wrapped up and Project Life 2022 wrapped up. And then I'll be diving into Project Life 2023 next month. So those are just some fun things that are happening and coming up. I always like the start of a new year, and I love to figure out some fun new things to do and change things up. It just seems like a perfect time. So all I've done here while I've been chit-chatting is I cut my mint macaroon piece of cardstock at 4 1/4, and then I folded it in half, and that gave me an A2 size card. And the sketches that I do, I don't provide measurements because I just want you to be able to make it however you want. You're going to notice at the when you see my card, you'll notice it's not exactly like the sketch. So originally, I think I'm going to do 2-inch squares. So with the sweet sorbet and the mint macaroon, I cut out 2 by 2-inch squares, and then that ends up being a little bit too big, so I will come back and I'll take off 1/4 inch off each side. So they're more like 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and you're going to need 4 of those. So I have the card base, which is in mint macaroon, and then I took some of the plaid paper for the very first layer, and I just took 1/4 inch off of that. So that plaid pattern paper is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So really super simple. That's the other thing with my sketches is I just want them to be really simple, and the way that I make cards are usually very straightforward. I don't do a lot of crazy measurements or crazy fun folds just because I don't enjoy figuring all that out. I just want to be able to make a card and make it. So my sketches are always going to be really simple. So I realized that those squares are going to be a little bit too big, and I tried both orientations of the card and just realized it wasn't going to work. So I take both of the sweet sorbet and I cut them both at the same time. And if you're really careful and you just keep those together, your blade will go through both of those pieces of cardstock. I usually never have a problem cutting 2 and sometimes even cut 3 pieces of cardstock. My trimmer will definitely cut 2 to 3 pieces of pattern paper with it being thinner. But I just cut those together. Again, I'm just taking a 1/4 inch off. I need them to be a little bit smaller to do those squares in the middle. So now I have those and they are cut down, and then we can start putting things together, because really that's basically the hardest part of the whole card. Is that part right there. So I wanted to do a little bit in the middle, but a little bit up top because I need room for my sentiment. And my sentiment is going to be on something that is a little bit thicker. You will see that this ends up taking up my whole card instead of it being just some elements at the top of the card. You could also add ribbon to this if you wanted. I did think about doing that, pulling out some mint macaroon, but in the end, I had enough space to do these squares and then do the sentiment. So my sentiment is gonna go on that stitched rectangle from the Stitched Rectangle dies. And you can see it's a little bit thicker than in the photo for the sketch. The sentiment is on a thinner piece. But again, you can make these sketches work for whatever you're doing. And I definitely wanted to be able to get a sentiment on here from the stamp set. And it's a scripty stamp set. And I particularly don't like it when a sentiment is cut off. Like if you have a scripty sentiment and then you cut it really close together and you have like a Y or a letter that has kind of a loop, a G or something like that, and then you cut that really close, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it looks right. If I have a scripty font, I really like there to be a little bit of space around the sentiment. Now, if it's a really straightforward font where it's like very boxy, I don't mind cutting it so close together. That's just a personal preference, but I just wanted to explain why I have a bigger box there for the sentiment. So here I'm creating the flag that's going to go on one of the squares. And originally I thought that would be perfect, but I realized I need to cut it down a little bit. So I'm just eyeballing this part. Like there's no rhyme or reason to this measurement. It's just what I prefer. And I also, for this video, I did not speed up the process because I wanted to be able to chat with you and walk you through the card. And so I'm finding that when I speed up the videos, then I end up talking really fast. And I've had a couple of comments or a couple emails that have said I talk too fast. So that is me trying to keep up with my video and walk you through the process as I learn how to do these voiceovers and I get more comfortable with them. So I'm going to just try to not speed up the actual video so that I can chit chat the whole video and not go so fast. So here I'm just applying some foam. I get lots of questions about where I get this foam. I have an Amazon store, basically like a storefront, and I link all of the products that I get from Amazon. I have those foam pieces. I think you get 30 in a package, and I get them like every 3 months. I just have like the subscribe and you like automatically get it. I get it like every 3 months, and that's about enough for me. Again, I make a lot of cards because I do this as a business, and you're seeing me produce a lot of cards. Probably for the normal card maker, you could even do like every 6 months, get the foam. And I keep all of the pieces. So those long pieces that I trimmed off, I just have a little container and I use those as well. So I'm using liquid glue here, and I'm putting the squares down. I have a feeling that this year you're going to see me start using a lot more liquid glue. It is just, I think it's what's working for me. I hesitate to say it is totally what's working for me because I just have started using it a lot more, but I think it's the direction that I'm going. So as long as you don't use a lot of it, your card stock and the pieces that you use won't warp. You just have to be careful with how much you're using. So those are now on the card, and that flag is going to go up in the top corner, and I love that pattern. It's perfect. And then my sentiment will go on the bottom. And right here, I realized I probably should have put the squares up a little bit higher. So probably if I did this card again, I would just be a little bit more mindful of where those boxes are. Like I would have liked the boxes to be a little bit higher and that flag piece to be sort of at the top of, like closer to the top of that first pattern piece. But again, it's not, the card turns out super cute and I like it. It just, sometimes when I'm editing and you see, like I can like look back at what I was doing, I'm like, I should have moved that up or moved that over. So I love this punch. I particularly love this heart, the new heart, items from Stampin' Up that are coming up because I like this wonky heart. It's not like your typical fat, perfect, proportioned heart. It kind of gives you this like funky heart design. And I really like that. I really like that design. So I'm going to take a couple of the patterns. That's what I'm doing right now is I'm looking for a couple other patterns in the Sweet Sorbet color. And I'm going to punch out 3 hearts, one in that mint macaroon you just saw me, and then one in this design, and then one in the other design. So the only thing that is a bummer about punches sometimes, and it definitely with this particular punch, is when you go to punch that heart, there's no way in avoiding punching out some of that, the leaf parts of the punch. But, it's totally okay. You can keep those scraps if you want. I tend not to because I just don't think to go back and use them. In the past, I've tried to keep every tiny little piece of scrap, and I just have found that I don't go back and find them or use them. I wish that I did. I tend to just, when I'm crafting, I just dive in and I start cutting things up and grabbing new pieces of stuff. And so for me, I don't keep that, but you could get a little dish and keep those in there for other projects for sure. I love this plaid paper. I love all the colors of it, and I love the designs of it. I feel like Stampin' Up! Is really on a plaid or like the gingham style patterns. Like they're really on a kick lately where like every catalog has had some of these, and I love them because they're so versatile in your projects. A lot of times we'll see like hearts or stars or florals, and sometimes they're not as versatile as something like a plaid. So I'm really liking that. So I'm going to take one of the sentiments. You see the sentiments on there are very scripty. And so I wanted definitely some room around the sentiment. And that one is a little bit chunky. I could have cut it up, but I thought, why start the start of the year with so much stress? I know many of you get stressed out when you see me start chopping up stamps. So I thought we'd save that for a little bit later in the month. And I'm just going to go with the Happy Valentine's. It fits lengthwise perfect. And then there's a little bit of space on the top and the bottom, which is what I like. And so I'm just going to use Sweet Sorbet. We're going to stamp this out onto the rectangle. And then I will just attach that right to my card. And that will be our very first card for 2023. I like the way it turned out, and I enjoyed diving into this. This is the first time I've used any of this new product. I was really, really caught up with Craftmas and doing a lot of those things that I had planned. So I never really got into any of my new stuff until just this last weekend. Well, this last week. I guess we're on the weekend here. January here on Sunday the 1st. So this is how the card turned out. You could definitely do a little wink of Stella over those hearts or some glossy accents. I left it pretty simple. You could also, I don't remember, I don't think I had any sequins or any jewels to it. Oddly enough, you know, I love doing that. But I like the way that it turned out, and that is the first sketch for the month. So you see a photo here for it. The colors are really beautiful, and I love the way it turned out. So if you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Please hit that subscribe button. On the screen here, there are 2 more videos that I have put together. You can click on those and watch those. And I will be back tomorrow on Monday for Blessed to Craft for the month of January. And then later in the week, we will see the brand new catalog. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will chat with you later.